Hi guys, this is Leslie from Ragtown Arts, and we're going to do a simple colorful rose tutorial today. Today I'm using India inks and a watercolor brush pen, but you can use alcohol inks, you can use watercolor, whatever you have at home or whatever you want to play with today. You want to make sure when you're starting out whatever color, you want your consistency to be like ink. I'm just taking some straight ink from the bottle and I'm putting it on my brush and flicking it on the lid to add little splotches on my paper just to give it some interesting texture. And the little big blobs, I'm just taking my finger and I'm smooshing it. And you got to make that sound when you do it. You got to smoosh it. Really simple. Don't ever stress it. It's really easy. I really like these India inks. They're amazing. They're completely waterproof when dry. So you're gonna get your color. And if you're using watercolor, like over on the right, I'm showing watercolor. You're just going to make a swirly pattern. We're going to make the inside of the rose. It's super easy, and if you need to slow this video down and pause and rewind and do it a few times, that's fine. You want your consistency, again, to be about like ink. We're going to add the inside of the rose. You want to connect all your lines. I'm just refilling my ink here. Now, when you use watercolor, you do want to get some better watercolor if you can. The cheaper stuff from the dollar store always has kind of a more transparent look to it. You can't really get that good opaque pigment like you can with inks, but it's really good watercolor. It almost has that ink-like look. So we're creating the bottom of the rose here. You want to make sure you keep all of your lines smooth and rounded. You don't want anything super straight or sharp. Needs another petal here. Back. Another here over here. Up here in the other video when I'm doing the watercolor, it's a little behind the one I'm doing here. That's okay. Feel free to rewind and pause and do whatever you need to do to help get your shapes in. So here I've already added just a little bit of purple. I decided we were going to do a different color rose. And you want to make sure that your ink is still fairly thick. You don't want to water it down just yet. You want full color. So for the leaves, you're just going to draw a line out straight from your rose, just in like a curved little angle like that. And then you're going to connect it with little zigzaggy lines up into your rose and make like a point. Just like that. Super simple, super easy. Draw another line out. Add some more little zigzag lines down into a leaf shape. It doesn't have to be a perfect shape. Leaves look, are very unique. I'm going to add a few more little splotches, just, for the heck of it. I feel like it could use a little more splotches. You just flick it on your finger or a piece of plastic. So now we're going to move on to adding a little bit of color into the leaves. And you want to use a little lighter, like you want to add a little bit of water to your watercolor. You want to thin it out, or to your ink, you want to thin it out a little. And then just paint the tips of your leaves. You don't want to go all the way up. You want to leave some room because we're going to add some other colors in later. Just like that, super simple. Don't stress it. Rinsing out my ink pen. You have to be careful, those ink pens, they suck up your ink and you have to rinse them out and squeeze the water through them. I'm going to add some color in now. I'm using a turquoise, and you want to water it down just a little bit. And you just kind of stick it on wherever you feel like it should go on there. Kind of focus on where your lights and your shadows would be. Anywhere there's going to be light, you kind of want to leave an empty space. Just leave the paper. Let it poke through. You want to have, darker and lighter values all through the petal. You don't really have to do this in any particular way. It's just kind of whatever you're feeling. Do the inside of the petal. Generally you want that area a lot darker, and on the inside of all of your petals you want the value to be a little darker there where the shadows would be. Adding a little more green into the leaves, and a little of that blue just down where we did our green, kind of in a zigzaggy pattern. Just add a little more texture and color. Adding a little more shadow into the rose and under the petals. We're just creating shadows. And I didn't water the ink down here for the shadows. It's just straight ink. Or if you're going to use watercolor, you don't want to add a whole lot of water to it. You want to keep the consistency fairly heavy. Okay, so we're going to change colors now after we rinse out our brush. I was using a turquoise color. Now I'm using a little bit of purple or violet. Gonna do some more little splotches because I love them and it's fun to do, and I like to do the smooshing. Smoosh, 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 smoosh. Gotta do the smoosh. So much fun. All right. So now we're adding in some purple and violet, with just a little bit of that blue still mixing because it was on the pen. And we're just kind of stick it in where you feel like it should go. We're just adding layers of color just to give it, a little more fun, a little more texture. Pay attention to where your shadows are and where you want to keep your light. Make sure you keep the areas you want the light shining on. Don't put any paint there. Filling in the shadows in the darker areas. Don't stress this. You just kind of go with it. Just wherever you feel like that color needs to go, stick it on there. It's really, really forgiving. And then if you get a little too much color, don't worry, you can always go back with a little bit of white paint later and go over it and lighten it back up. So don't stress it. It's going to be okay. Still just adding in some shadow here on the inside. Kind of smooshing it a little just because I like to do that. I'm just still using that purple. I just added a little water into that purple, and I'm going around the very edges of the leaves just to add a little more color. Now we're going to create lines in the leaves, and you don't want anything super straight, just curved lines, like you would see on a leaf outside. They don't have to be in any super particular pattern, if you kind of mess them up a little. You just don't want to do straight jagged lines, and you'll be just fine. I'm just going over mine again. I've got some overlapping each other. See, now I'm gonna use a little bit of yellow. I'm actually using yellow ochre. It's kind of a pukey yellow. And I'm just doing the inside of the leaves. Just fill it in. Give it some color. Let it kind of blend into the other ink you've already got on the page, which is pretty dry. If you're using watercolor, same thing. Just gonna add a little more because it needs a little more yellow. Just like that. Right, we're gonna add a little brighter yellow. Of course, I'm gonna... Sorry, we had a little video difficulty there, but we're back and running. Alright, so we were doing the yellow. All I did was I flipped a little more yellow onto the paper, just like I've been doing before. I'm adding in some white into the flower, just for the highlights after doing a little bit of yellow. Just kind of wherever you think the light would be. It's wherever you really want it to go. I apologize for the lighting in the video. I was outside and the sun was going down. Just adding a little more white. Make sure all the leaves have some light reflecting. Or the petals. You're going to add some white into the leaves too, in between the lines of the leaves. You want to add a little bit of white. I'm just going over the edges of the flowers, just adding a little more reflection. You don't want to do all straight lines. You want to make sure your lines are broke up. Nothing super straight, nothing jagged. Keep everything very organic. If you get a little too much ink or a little too much watercolor, just grab a paper towel and blot it. It'll soak it right up. Just going over, and I'm doing another coat of white. Just adding in a little more highlight where I felt like there wasn't enough light. Gonna add some of that white into the leaves now. In between the spaces of the little leaves. Just adds a little visual texture, little light, little highlight. Makes it super fun. I'm just doing a little bit on the outside of the leaves. Gotta flick a little more, make some more speckles on the paper, which is super fun to do, by the way. It's my favorite part. Do a little more. Gonna smoosh it. Right. Gonna outline just kind of the outside of the edges of the whole little picture, really. Just adding some highlight. We're going to add some shadow in under these leaves later. If you're having trouble keeping up, that's fine. This video is sped up. You just pause it and rewind. All right. We're going to go in and we're going to add some black now. We're just going to bring out the center of this rosebud a little bit. You just want to kind of follow the lines you already have, but you don't want to connect any of your black lines. You want them to be kind of broken and just scattered, here and there, just to kind of create shadow. And that's all I'm doing, just throughout all the petals and lines that are already there. Adding some into the rosebud under the petals. Gonna outline my bottoms of my leaves to kind of, create a shadow line down the center of my leaves. Very, very slight. You're gonna do the outside of your leaf. You don't want to add a lot of pressure to your brush, or while you're doing the inside of the leaves either. When you're doing your little, you want to do real light pressure and keep these real light, just kind of hints of shadow. just adding shadow down the bottom of my petals. And you would just do this on the bottoms, wherever the little light isn't shining. And just like that. It's super, super easy. This is the easiest flower you can draw. So I'm just adding a little bit of ink, or a little bit of water to my black ink, because I want to thin it down a little bit to create a shadow. Had to add a little more water because it was still a little too thick. And I'm going to go over this again. It's always better to do a little bit of color and then add more on top of it because you can't take it away. So I'm doing the lighter run, and I'm going to go over it again, a little bit darker, under my petals, just to kind of add a little bit of shadow. A little darker now again. As that dries, it lightens up a little bit. I'm using a piece of pastel paper instead of watercolor paper just because that's what I had handy. But you really want to use watercolor paper for this so your paper doesn't turn in, and it just looks so much better on watercolor paper. I'm just taking a little bit of yellow now, watered it down just a little bit, and I'm just adding some color and blending it out around the rose, just so the rose pops out of the paper a little more. A little lighter on the bottom because it's darker there. You don't want as much color there. Alright, I just felt it needs a little more white. I'm going to go back and add a little more highlights. Help bring our flower forward a little more into the leaves. A little more here and some over here. And we have a rose. Here's where you could just leave it. You could call this totally finished. You could do this in other colors, other patterns. You can make your petals different in every rose. I'm going to go in and I'm going to actually spray this. Since I'm using ink, I'm going to spray this with a clear glossy sealer. And then I'm going to go back over with a little bit of black over the ink, or over the sealer, so it sticks to it, but it doesn't completely stick to it. I'm going to blend it in all the way around in a circle. Now, if you're using watercolor, you want to do this before you seal your piece. You would just use some watercolor and you want to blend it around in a circle. You can sprinkle a little bit of salt on it when it's wet, and it'll give it a cool, kind of spotty, speckled pattern once it's dry. And you just go all the way around your piece, kind of in a circle. It just kind of frames your rose out a little bit. Just gives it a little more texture, a little more fun. And that's it. You got a rose. It's super easy at this point. Like if you're using watercolor, you can seal it with a matte sealer or a glossy sealer. Or you can use or you don't have to use a sealer, you can just frame it as is. I hope you guys try this in other colors, and I hope you like this video. This is our first video, so bear with us. We're learning as we go. We'd love all your, we'd love to hear from you guys. Let us know what you think. We'll see you guys again soon. Thanks.